Good morning, everybody. It's Dr. Vibe here, host and producer of the award-winning Dr. Vibe show, the home of Epic Conversations. And I'm the host of Epic Conversations 2020 Best Podcast News Award winner, 2018 Innovation Award winner given out by the Canadian Ethnic Media Association. I also co-host and co-produce the only online show in the world for dads and fathers that is sponsored by Dove Men Plus Care. And through that collaboration last year, I was part of a team that reached out to over 100,000 fathers around the world. As always, I'd like to say you're blessed, highly favored, a magnet for miracles, and a solution for someone's problem. We're broadcasting live on November 25th, and it's a overcast, breezy day in Toronto. Had some sunshine for the last 2 days, and the temperature went up a little bit, but it looks like it's got, my dad would call this a day of night. It's just dark, dreary, etc. But you know what? We make the best of it. So Ryan Knight, who's my co-host, will not be with us today. He's actually at a conference today, so he'll be with us on Monday. So a few things I want to, again, say welcome to everybody who's watching live on the replay. First things first, I have the opportunity on Monday, November 28th, I think it is. 28th. I've been invited by the Liberal Party of Canada, their Black Caucus, to have some information shared with me about the upcoming federal budget. It's also an opportunity for me to voice concerns of Black Canadians to the Liberal Black Caucus. So I'm putting it out there that if you're a Black Canadian and you have any messages that you'd like to give to the Liberal Black Caucus, please email me at dr.vibe@thedr.com. So I'll try my best to have your concerns voiced to the Liberal Black Caucus, but I'm just putting it out there. And maybe it's also conversation topics that we can use on the morning vibe going forward. So there you say, there it is, Dr. Vibe. What would you like me to say to the Liberal Black Caucus? Email me at the email address there by 5 p.m. Eastern time on Monday, and we will do our best to get those conversation points to them. And I'll certainly come back next Friday when we're back on, well, we're on Monday, but also the following Friday or a week from today, I'll see what I can share from that communication or that communication with the Liberal Black Caucus. Will be myself and other Black Canadian media members speaking with them, and they'll be speaking with us. So that is off the table. We are scheduled to have Lesline McEwan on with us today. She is in the green room. She's setting up. I don't see her on camera yet, but as soon as she comes on, we'll certainly make that happen. And we're actually going to be talking about a very interesting subject today. We're going to be talking about let me just bring it up here. About qualities of a healthy relationship and creating your own relationship tradition. So I'm looking forward to the conversation. If you're watching in the United States, happy Thanksgiving. I know Thanksgiving was yesterday, but it's like a long celebration. So I hope the company was good, the food was good, and that you had a good time. So that is up. So while I'm on here right now, if anyone has any comments that they just want to share with us through whatever platform you're watching, fantastic. Also, want to encourage, especially if you're watching on the Dr. Vibe Show YouTube channel, subscribe, and also hit the notification button. So subscribing means that you're joining the party, I'm about, I'd say about 35 to 40 subscribers away from 1,000 subscribers, which is a big moment. And then notification is also important, because when you hit the notification button, that means you get notified about upcoming conversations on the Dr. Vibe platform. So, for example, tomorrow night, we have State of Things with Aisha, Jill, and Lala. And if you haven't watched that conversation, you need to watch it, because they give the real deal on things going on socially and politically in the United States. And then Sunday afternoon, usually I do Black Canada Talking at 5 p.m. live Sunday afternoons. We may have a little bit of a change in time, because we do have a special event coming up talking about the decade of the UN Decade of African Consent. And I have two of the regular guests on there, El Jones and Cesar Nadima Musa, going to be coming on. And I do have a special guest. I'm speaking it. We've got a special guest coming, so we may need to up the time a little bit. So that's why you need to click on the subscribe and the notification button, so you can find out about these important epic conversations that we have here. So it looks like Lesline is ready. I want her to give a thumbs up to me to say that she's ready. Okay, she is ready to go. So we're going to bring her on. And Lesline McEwan, let me give her a great, she's been a psychotherapist for over 30 years, Black psychotherapist in Canada for over 30 years. Wonderful lady, wonderful soul. Support everything she does, because she wants us to be better. And up until a few years ago, she was one of the few psychotherapists I knew, period. And slowly but surely, we're increasing the number of Black Canadian psychotherapists. But you know what? Let me just get her on looking great in her purple this morning. And you need to unmute yourself. You need to unmute yourself.
Good morning.
Good morning. How are you?
I am great. Thank you. And you?
Good. I'm blessed, highly favored, magnet for miracles, solution for someone's problem, and Blackalicious.
Yes.
How's the morning treating you so far?
Pretty good. Pretty good.
Yeah. Good. And how are things in Ottawa?
A little dreary,
Yeah.
But
yeah.
Otherwise.
As I said to our family earlier, who's watching live, or if you're watching the replay, my dad would call it a day of night.
Yes, exactly.
It's daytime, but it's dark. So what have you been up to since the last time we had you on the platform?
Many, many things.
Can you give us one or two?
Okay, I'll just give one. I mentioned, I think I did. I'm not sure if I'd mentioned it to you at some time in the past, that we were working on rolling out an online mental health course.
Yes.
So it's close to the end.
Good.
Yeah. I was hoping actually that today I could have said to you, you know what, it's out. This is where people go. But it's getting there.
Everything in due time. So let's speak when you're on next month.
Yes.
That'll be good to go. And maybe we can spend some time navigating through it and just showing people the great opportunities that'll provide.
Yes.
Excellent. Excellent. You going to do any Black Friday shopping? I didn't even mention it's Black Friday day, so I don't do this Black Friday thing. But are you caught by this Black Friday buying craze?
No. If I want something, I like to buy stuff on sale. So if I need something and it's on sale, yeah, I'll buy it. And now I never go into stores anymore since COVID.
Wow. So you do it all online?
All online. I'm buying things online that I saw in the past that I would never buy online. I mean, who buys shoes online?
Yeah, to me, that's a difficult one, because I remember many years ago having conversations that at that time we said, if you have to touch, feel, and try it on, you're not going to buy it online because you want to put it on and make sure it fits. But now
you do everything online.
Wow. And, and it actually is that could be a segment in itself about the psychology of online, how it can be addictive and frenzy. So I'm going to parking like that for a future conversation, if you don't mind.
Sure.
Excellent. Well, I'm excited as always to have you here, because you're wanting to talk today about the qualities of a healthy relationship and creating your own relationship tradition. Big title. Why did you feel the need to chat about this on our show today?
Well, we hear a lot. I do this program on gender-based violence, and there's so much out there about the bad relationships. These are the red flags. These are the signs, and it seems as if when you listen across, even on the internet, it seems like that's what people talk about mostly. The
Mm.
unsuccessful relationships or the ones that are not healthy. But I'm thinking, instead of saying, these are the bad things, these are the bad things, why don't we look at what some of the healthy things could be
Absolutely.
in a relationship?
I love that. Uh, before we get deep dive into healthy things, how much of a part does how someone is raised impact their relationship when they become, may I say, an adult?
Yeah. It greatly, greatly affects it. You know, the environment we're raised in um, prepares us for the future. And we do what we know how because our caregivers are our models, eh? And so what I grew up in, that's what I know. And that's what most likely I will end up doing or being. Although there's some people who will say, you know what, I'll never ever be like X, Y, or Z. But the pressure comes on and it goes back to, those pathways in the brain. This is what I know and this is how I handle it, right?
Okay. Uh, another conversation piece. Do you feel this? And another conversation, like three came up all at once in my mind. Do you feel that we should be making time in our educational system with our young people, teaching about healthy relationships?
Yes. Yes. Yeah, we definitely should. I one of the school boards. I went to a specific school because they were having some issues with the young ladies are usually at the receiving end of negative things, right? And I went and we were talking about all these negative, things that they experience. And then when I started talking about what the healthy things could be, some of them were looking at me as if I fell out of, I don't know, I dropped from the sky. So it's necessary, very necessary, to educate our young people, young men and young women, starting at a young age, so they know what a healthy relationship should look like.
And as you're sharing with us, I'm just thinking about the incident of Ms. Robinson. I don't know if you heard about this young lady
Yes.
from the United States who friends basically took her to another country and ended up killing her.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then they filmed it, and then they lied to the deceased mother. And these are young teenage girls.
Yes. And it just tells you about their mentality, where they're coming from. It's almost as if you hear it so frequently that almost as if it's normal. This one got some publicity and it was kind of extreme. But you hear all the time how young people are killing each other. It's as if life has no value, eh? So
Mm.
they need to be taught, right? Going back to values, love, respect. But, if what you see around you is violence and disrespect, hey,
Okay. Well, let's pull it out of the negative. Let's talk about healthy because and again in the media, a lot of media spends so much time in the negative. Actually, for the first time in a long time today, well, I was over at my parents' house. I'm there regularly, and we were watching the 12 o'clock news, and negative story after negative story after I just said, I'm gone. So
yeah,
I
yeah.
can't take it. I want to hear something positive. So let's go on the positive track. And you have a number of different subject topics you want to share with us. So let's start off with
Mhm.
balance.
Okay, so every relationship is different, eh? Because couples they interact differently, and it's a healthy relationship, but it doesn't necessarily have to be carbon copies across the board, right? But balance, if you're in a job and you're not recognized, time is not made for you, you're not going to be giving your best. Last time we talked about silent
Quiet quitting.
quiet quitting. So that happens in relationships too, right? You have to find that balance where you find happiness with time spent with each other. Some needs are met outside of the relationship because it's not healthy to have your partner, your mate, whoever that is, as the only person in your life. That person can be your best friend, but shouldn't be your only friend. There's too much pressure on the relationship when there's not that balance.
Mm-hmm.
hmm
Mm-hmm.
So it's really important to have that where you have friendships, you have hobbies, you have things of interest outside of the relationship. Not to the detriment of the relationship, though.
But that's a fine line.
Fine line.
It's a very fine line because it's good to have friends outside the relationship, but there has to be boundaries.
That's a topic in itself.
When I see you bend down and shake your head, I go, I struck a chord there.
Yeah,
Balance. I think that's a whole conversation. Balance and boundaries.
boundaries. Boundaries, because that's where it goes with the balance. Because even in relationships, we need boundaries. Eh?
But but the challenge is how many people come into the relationships with balance when it comes to this.
Right.
Because I'm just taking a look. Two people come together, they have their associations that have taken up most of their existence before they reach this time of, and then you're basically asked to pull back. It actually was interesting. I was watching a conversation earlier on this week, and two ladies were talking about this question: who is happier, single women or married women? And research shows this. It was interesting. One of the ladies, she's a counselor, couples counselor for the last 30 years in the Black community in the United States.
Mhm.
She was quoting research saying that and I want to make sure I get this right. Married men are happier than single men, but single women are happier than married women.
Yeah, I've seen that research. Yeah.
And I sort of went, okay.
hmm
So I'm going, and I hope it ties a little bit about the balance, but the balance in our lives now. But again, one, and correct me if I'm wrong and push back on me. Do you not have to have balance in your own life in order to bring balance into a relationship?
Of course. We have to be healthy to be in a healthy relationship, each individual. And if one individual is not healthy, and I mean mentally, physically, and all that stuff, because all this ties back into physical and mental wellness, right? And
Right.
if one is not, then how do it's kind of like limping or hopping. And that's where it comes in about creating. That's why that piece of the topic is there, creating your own traditions, right? Because doing that means both people have to find their own healing. Because let's face it, we come into relationships with a whole lot of baggage and
Yes.
trash and
Yes.
whatever we picked up
Yeah.
along the way.
Yep.
Yeah,
But sometimes people come into a relation, they only see the wonderful, yes, yes, and don't realize that that individual has their challenges, aka baggage too, that now you're a part of, whether you realize it or not.
exactly. Exactly. And vice versa, right?
Absolutely.
So, yeah.
Go
Go
no, go ahead, continue.
hmm Yeah, so it's really important to have that balance. If you're going to have a successful relationship, you have to work at it. And I know when I say work, people think, why do I have to go to counseling every day? Do I have to? And it sounds tiring, but no, we're in a relationship and we want to make it work. Mm? You're on a job and you want a promotion or you want to excel, you'll take some courses, you'll do different things to enhance yourself. And it's the same thing in a relationship, eh?
Relationship is work.
It is. It really is. It is.
You know,
But
and
if,
that, go ahead.
no, I'm going to say if it's going to be successful, we have to work.
That balance, and I think that the one of the challenges, and I'm saying, is everyone has their own definition of balance.
Hmm. Hmm.
So it's, if you're in a relationship, accepting that balance, what are you willing to accept and tolerate in regards to balance?
Right.
But it's also good if you have a partner, if you have a good partner, they'll be able to, say, hey, I'm seeing something that, and you've got to be willing to take that observation from where it's coming from, and it's coming with right intent.
Yes. And as you say that, communication, right?
Absolutely,
Be-
absolutely. And well, and we didn't even put that one down. Yeah, well, that's a whole other one too, about the balance
Yeah.
in all areas, in communication, in listening,
Hmm. Most
and
important. Yeah.
listening and hearing, etc. So very, very
Amen.
much importance. So just to do a reset here, we're with Lesline McEwan. We're talking about the qualities of a healthy relationship and creating your own relationship tradition. And if you are watching live, especially, please share your comments, any questions. We're here to talk about them or answer about them. Leslie can answer about them in real time. Also, too, if you want to touch base with Leslie, there is her website, there is her email address. So she's open to hearing from y'all about this sort of topic. So let's continue on about
Hmm.
the this commitment.
So, um, commitment, you have to invest your energy in the relationship. You know, you have to give that relationship adequate time and energy. And that's where you see balance over here, right?
Yeah.
Where you have to create that line. How do I, if I'm committed to my relationship, am I going to spend, what percentage of my time am I going to give outside of my relationship? So it's creating that balance, and it all will come through communication, right? We have to communicate. And maybe that should have been it only. Communicating, listening, listening, and listening. And we don't listen. If we don't listen, we won't hear what the other person is saying. Most couples, they have this thing set up. Actually, I should say most people, where I'm listening, but I'm not listening to understand what's being said. I'm listening to respond. I just want to hear what you say because I know what I have to say. And
Mm.
then the true message does not come across, you know?
I love what you said there, because it's actually, I always like to say there's a difference between listening and hearing.
Exactly.
You know, for me, listening, it just goes here, but when you hear, it goes here and here.
Hmm.
There's a connect, and it's funny when you talk about hearing. For those who may or may not know, my dad was a teacher in the same public school for 38 years. And I'm sure some other people can relate to this when they were growing up. But for myself, the listening was one way. He told me what to do, and I didn't respond. Or if I did, it was like, question my, and I said, and a number of years ago, my dad said, you know what? You're such a good listener. I said, well, you didn't give me any time to respond when I was growing up, so I better be a very good listener.
Yeah.
But getting back to the commitment piece, very, very important, and it's especially with a high rate of failed relationships. I'm not even getting to divorce, just failed relationships
Yes.
these days. I was just listening to someone before we came on here and talking about relationships, saying that maybe relationships should be like sports athletes, every few years you have to renew your contract.
Mm-hmm.
Just putting it out there. I'm not saying I believe in that,
No. And,
but
in terms of that, it's if we do small things frequently, keep on top of it, doing the small things, positive things in building the relationship, then we don't really need to go renew a contract. You know what I mean? It's kind of like those slight, as we go along on a daily, whatever basis, we make those slight changes, right?
how, and if you've been doing this hard work, I won't say it hard work, but heart work for 30, and I knew I was going to get a giggle out of you when I said it that way, for over 30 years, is the challenge of commitment still, well, let me say, let's compare it to 10 years ago. Is it the same challenge, less of a challenge, or more of a challenge through your lens?
Well, it depends, right? Because you have people who are in various stages of life, different age groups, the generations, eh? And when, even now, though, you see people who are married for or together long term, they're separating, they're getting divorced, right? They're saying, this is not how I want to finish my last days. So, and I'm not saying it's necessary a lack of commitment, but they never learned how to be together in a healthy way. And at this stage, they're not committed enough. Some people I'm saying here are not committed enough to say, let's work through this. And there are
Mm,
cases where it's necessary to, like, go east and west, but they're not committed enough because there's so much, as they say, so much water has gone under the bridge. So at this point, no way.
mm.
Mhm.
I'm wondering, and I'm sure statistics will show as we go onward, the impact of the pandemic has had on commitment in relations, and maybe you're seeing it already. I don't know. Are you seeing anything impact wise on clients that you're helping or trying to assist in regards to commitment in relationships?
Well, one thing I hear, and I'm thinking that eventually, studies will show, people are saying how difficult it was to be alone during that
Mm,
pandemic. And it's given them a different perspective. People are saying, I'm happy by myself. I don't need anyone in my life. And then they're saying that was brutal during the pandemic,
mm,
you know, and
mm,
they seem to think that people who have a partner of some sort that they live with had it easier. And in some cases, yes, but in some cases, no. So that is to be seen. What
yeah,
they,
yeah. I'm very, 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 very curious to see the results of research
yeah,
about this, because you know I one of my courses is helping men and fathers, and uh, there's been stories all over the place. Some men I speak with say, I after being in this situation, I can't be with this person. It's too much for me. Like, work was their escape. Their commitment to work kept them going in the relationship. But then others, fathers, will say, you know what, I being home all the time made me more opened my eyes about family life, and has made me more committed
right,
to the relationship.
yeah. And so it leaves to be seen which side is going to weigh heavier, right? Because
Ab-
those relationships that were in trouble prior to
yeah,
the pandemic was not going to make it any better because there's just a whole lot of load of stress on top, right?
absolutely.
Hmm.
Absolutely. So, again, speaking with Leslie McEwan, we're talking about creating qualities of a healthy relationship and creating your own relationship tradition. Also, I just want to make it aware, if you are watching this live or on replay before And I have the wrong date there. It should be November 28th, not November. Today's November 28th, 25th. So I will correct that and come back to it. But let's talk about community. And this is interesting. I want you to shed some light on this community aspect.
Yeah. And so community is, do you share, and community within the relationship, right? Do you share the same goals? Do you have the same beliefs and values? We're all individuals and we have different viewpoints, but there are certain things that don't change, and values is one of those. Values
Mm,
do not change. If I have a certain set of values and the other person's is opposite to mine, it's not going to work. When the flame dies down and really the rubber hit the road, that's when it's going to be seen. And one of those is, let's say, parenting, eh?
mhm.
You have a couple and they have different parenting values completely, and it
Yes.
becomes a big strain, and the kid get pulled from one side to the other. So those are the type of things I'm talking about, and those values are the most important factors in a relationship.
It's so interesting because when many times when we hear community, we're thinking about large, but you're talking about community in a relationship.
Right.
That is powerful.
Because it's the commonality that holds the community together, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
and and the, and the similarities.
And it makes me think of the long time phrase opposites attract, and I disagree with that. Likes attract.
Yes.
Like there has to be something foundational that keeps those two people together because just by theory, opposites don't attract. When I was in school, young guy, when I had hair, when you brought the north magnet and the south magnet together, they repelled. It was when they were S and S, which is south and south, or N and N, they stuck together.
Yes,
I
exactly.
hope I'm right with that. So if I'm wrong, people correct me because maybe it was when they were opposites, they did attract there. I
Yeah.
think I may have messed that up, but I hope
Yeah.
hopefully people understand where I'm coming from. Hope at least you understand where I'm coming from.
Right. I get it. And you know what? Um, Somebody may say opposites attract. I may be an introvert and my husband, extrovert. And so I get some kind of cover from him, and I may be more of that calming influence for him. But that's a personality thing, right? That's not values. And so certain things that they'll say opposites attract, it's not necessarily true. And if that's true, if it attracts, it's not keeping people together.
And again, you're reading my alleged mind and going, yeah, opposites may attract in the short term,
Hmm.
but long term, and we promote long term relationship here on this platform as much as possible. I think you want to have there has to be something foundational that's keeping it going.
Hmm.
It's so important. But I love your thought process of community in a relationship. I think that I'm that's a knowledge bomb for me today because I've never really heard it put that way that much.
Yes, yes. And it's important, right? We're together.
No, no. When you bring, I just have a comment here. Let me see. And Carson say, very insightful. Love this. Thanks for getting this program on my radar, Ryan. Well, Ryan isn't here today, but we're broadcasting on Ryan's LinkedIn. But thank you, David. Appreciate your enjoying, and please feel free to share more comments. Just appreciated, not taking for granted. I'd just like to know when you get the opportunity to talk about community in relationships, what are the recipients' initial response?
Well, community, I mentioned that to one set of people, and they said, "Are you asking me to go bring everybody in my business?" You have to create a community in your
Yeah,
relationship. I'm
yeah.
like, no, I'm asking you guys to create your community. Be
Mm,
that in your relationship, right? Where you share things. I can't belong to a community unless I have something in common with that community.
yeah,
You
common
know,
unity, common
yes,
unity.
exactly. I belong to the Black community, and you all can see why, right?
No, you're kidding me. You're not a member of the Israeli community or the Syrian community or
No, none of those I have anything in common with,
well,
right?
you do though. We're all human
We're all
beings.
human beings, yes. But in terms of forming that close bond, you know, we have to share things. And values are important. Things like respect, number one, trust. Because some people, they don't trust. I trust nobody. They don't trust their parents. They don't trust their partners. And maybe they have a reason for being that way. But those are things, like I said before, if I find that I'm not healthy, I need to go, work on this, work on it.
Well, that's the other part.
Yes. And that's when if I jump back to balance, a lot of times you can't be balanced because there's such a big lack of trust and respect.
Well put, well put, well put. Love it, love it. Let's go to safety.
Yeah. Boundaries. But like we said earlier, you touched on that earlier, right? And this is feeling safe in a relationship. And feeling safe in a relationship is not necessarily worrying that somebody's going to be physical with me. It's not that. It's, can I feel safe intellectually, emotionally? You know, will my partner respect me, even if they don't agree with my thoughts?
Hmm.
Because a lot of times when some people don't agree, one or the other will dismiss that person. And if every time I try to say something or contribute to the relationship, I'm dismissed, I'm going to get to the point where I'm just going to start stonewalling, which is one of the, in Dr. Gottman's book, it's one of the four horsemen of the apocalypse, right?
It's interesting you mentioned that, Leslie, because we're very much in a world these days of cancel culture. And something tells me that cancel culture is happening in relationships. Is that true?
Well, you know what? I would say my understanding of the cancer culture that's going on in the world, it's in the relationship. If it happens, right? Because this would be an example, eh? Dismissing somebody. I have a thought, I have an idea. It's not hearing me out and respecting that it's my thought and my feeling, but rather just dismissing me. That's not valid. Throw that away.
It it's interesting. I recently had a chance to attend a really good presentation. I'm actually going to bring up the book. It was about leadership, but again, this could be another one of the list here. A lady named Marilyn Gist,
Mhm.
and she wrote a book called. She did a talk about her book called "The Extraordinary Power of Leader Humility." Wonderful black woman, wonderful presentation, and one of her key points during her talk was no one's dignity is more important than anybody else's.
Exactly.
And I think it ties a little bit into the safety piece, that part of safety feels that you're being treated, as you said, respect.
Yes.
That's part of safety, that you feel that you're being treated fairly, with
Mhm.
respect, with dignity.
Exactly. And that's so important in a relationship. And you know what? If we don't have that in our relationships, it's hard to give that on the outside. And I've heard this term, I don't hear it so much anymore, But people used to thought, oh, that's my work husband, or that's my work wife.
Yes, yes, I haven't heard that from, but I do remember that term.
Yes, and they're friends with individuals at work because that's where we spend most of our time. And it doesn't necessarily mean there's anything nefarious going on, but that person will know more about an individual than their own spouse, because that's an individual who listens, who respects what you have to say, and you could throw things back and forth, and then people get close, and sometimes things crosses the line. But it's important to feel safe in your relationship, you know.
It's a term I use all the time. And the example you brought up there, people are looking for the people that give them a safe and brave space. And definitely in relationships, that should be one of the caveats, that you feel that you're in a safe and brave space.
Yes, exactly. And if we look at another word that comes to my mind is defensiveness. Eh?
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of times when someone may not feel safe in a relationship, it's because the other person is defensive. I can't hear you because as soon as something is said, I take it as a personal attack.
Mm.
So instead of me listening and maybe even taking responsibility for what's going on, and maybe I have to apologize or something, I dismiss. Don't want to hear it. It's your fault. It's not my fault. Why are you doing that to me? And it just goes on, which again comes right back to communication,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
Because
Yeah.
communicating is win-win. We don't have a discussion with each other for me to win and the other person to lose. Because if there's a loser, there's going to be an unhappy person.
But how difficult is that in North American culture, where we it's pushed that there's a winner and there's a loser,
Exactly.
and many people are raised win lose.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's difficult.
It's difficult for sure. And that's why, it comes back to relationship is work.
Agreed. Agreed.
Mhm.
All right. Let's move on. Self confidence.
Yeah. And it's so tied to safety, right? Feeling comfortable being yourself in a relationship. A lot of people go into relationships and they are, how do I say this? Uh, Kind of like on a fraudulent basis. They go and put it with this facade. This is who I am because this is who I think you want me to be. And it's not necessarily the other person's fault, right? Sometimes maybe it's messages that they get from the other individual, but a lot of times they're not comfortable being themselves. And you could be in a relationship for someone for a long time and you really don't know that person because they don't feel like I can be myself. The true me is not good enough. And then it comes down to, again, how we communicate with each other, you know?
That's a challenging one because there are a lot of people in the world that lack confidence, self confidence. And is there a challenge at times that they get into relationships for that other person to fill the void of their lack of confidence?
Right. And you know what? Confidence is going to come from the inside. Happiness is going to come from the inside. My happiness is not my partner's responsibility and vice versa.
Oh, I love you. Are you beautiful? I'm loving how you're saying this. This is
No.
huge. This is
Yeah.
huge.
My happiness is going to be from me because I could, first of all, what's making me happy, unhappy. And secondly, it's so subjective. What is happiness? Some people, oh, happiness is having money or happy, you know what I mean? So it's different. So it's not that response. And it comes down to self confidence. if I'm not confident and I'm looking for somebody to make me confident, it's not going to work.
I love how you mention this because, again, these days as I go on in life, I can recall or have so many stories. And many years ago, I was listening to a gentleman named John Maxwell, one of the most renowned people when it comes to leadership, written hundreds, lots of books.
Yeah.
And he was mentioning from the stage that one, his wife, Margaret, they were at an event and they had both of them up there speaking or just taking questions.
Yeah.
And someone asked his wife, Margaret, does John make you happy? and and Margaret said, no, I make myself happy. I'm not relying on John to make me happy. And for John, that was a learning moment because he didn't expect that coming from her. But he said that
Exactly.
was an incredible learning point that she said, I'm responsible for my own happiness. It's not John. He can add to my happiness, but he's not responsible for my happiness.
Yeah. Because that's quite a burden to put on your partner.
Yo, you
You make
think?
me happy.
And the same thing about the confidence.
Yes. Yes.
I can be around you and verbalize on, but it has to come
From the
from
inside.
you.
Yeah. As they say, it's an inside job, right?
I love it. I love it. Before we go any further, I want to say good morning to Dr. Tachi from Fort Lauderdale, Florida, the host of the livest online program about media, tech, and pop culture. It's called Mediascope. You can catch it Wednesdays, 5 p.m. on Instagram and then 6 p.m. on YouTube, Facebook, LinkedIn, so many different platforms, and also broadcasts in the Caribbean. And also Fort Lauderdale, happy Thanksgiving to you and also to your mother, Dr. Tachi. So thanks for stopping by. Macmillan Group, good morning. Insightful conversation. They send their representative, then they eventually, the facade falls apart.
I like that.
Oh, wonderful. Wonderful.
Mhm.
Well, see, Ray, you're getting big ups from Lesline is a good thing. It's a good thing. And that's, I think, that self-confidence thing also makes me think about a phrase you hear a lot called fake it till you make it.
Hmm. Well, if you fake it, you're gonna be faking for a long time. It's more like you're gonna fake it until you fall apart. You know what I mean?
Wow. Knowledge bomb. Fake it till you fall apart.
Yeah, because in the
And that
meantime,
takes a lot of energy too, though.
more energy than being yourself,
Mm,
you know? Because
mm.
first of all, I am trying to be what I think somebody else wants me to be. And if you speak to, especially some younger people or even older people, this idea of uh, self-esteem, poor self-esteem, low self-esteem, it's coming from childhood, expectations, the way I was nurtured.
Yeah.
I was criticized. I never did anything good enough. And then I internalized this idea that I'm not good enough. You see people in the professional world who are brilliant, doing great things, and they have this imposter syndrome that just won't go away. I mean, a little imposter syndrome at the beginning of whatever you're doing, it's kind of pushes you to make sure you're doing as good as you can.
Mm-hmm.
Some people, years, I've seen people with degrees that I didn't even know exist,
Wow.
and they have this imposter syndrome. And I'm like, how can that be? Right? And then you see where it's coming from. I was never good enough. I was never good enough.
But for so people like that you see in regards to their lack of confidence, is that something that started in the home?
Usually, yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And another thing, sometimes it doesn't necessarily start in the home, and come back to us being Black people and
Mhm.
being around the others on the outside, not being recognized, being dismissed. Whatever we do is not valuable. Um, so people sometimes internalize that and walk around feeling like I'm not good enough. I'm not. And you hear people say all the time, I have to be twice as good,
Yeah.
right?
I think it's another interesting conversation that you have to be twice as hard, not just to non-melanated, but also getting, sometimes it can be challenging to have that self-confidence when you're not accepted by your own.
Yeah. Yes.
So it's like a double-edged sword.
Yes. Yes. Yeah, it is. Yeah, it's just one of these little topics.
Little? Okay. You think it's little.
Okay, one of these topics that we're just barely touching on, right?
Well, one of the wonderful things though, this conversation, there's so many directions in the future because each one of these topics is a whole conversation in itself.
Exactly.
That is wonderful. Before we go further, just want to more comments here. McMillan Gross saying, I am happy, you are happier, we are happier together.
Yeah.
And then Dr. Tachi from Florida says, this is a great conversation. Quote, fake it till you fall apart. Wow, that was a mic. That was a knowledge bomb right there, Lesline. Fake it till you fall apart. Wow. That is huge. That is huge. And as we continue the conversation for another few moments, the part of creating your own relationship tradition, can you expand on that?
Yes, it's important to create, like I said earlier, we are all coming from our own backgrounds, and we have these traditions and everything. And okay, it's Thanksgiving in the United States, when today or yesterday or whenever.
Yesterday.
Mhm. And they're Thanksgiving traditions, right? And some people, they bring these traditions down even when it's no longer convenient. We have to get together. We have to do this. We have to, and it's a great thing for family to get together. Don't get me wrong. But sometimes we all know that family getting together can be a
Oh
ticking
yeah.
time bomb.
Oh yeah.
But people, are bound by these traditions. And it's the same thing in your marriage, your relationship. If a relationship is going to thrive and be healthy, we have to give it care and attention and create what we want. A little example, I read something somewhere, I don't remember, a long time ago, where somebody said, she always cut the ends off of her Christmas ham and she don't know why. And
Yes.
her mom did it and her grandma did it. And it turns out that the tradition started because the person, maybe the great great grandma, didn't have a pan that was big enough to fit the ham. So they cut the ends off.
Right.
And it just kept going down the line. So it's how do we change this, right? Be together, create that thing where you're together. And maybe I might even call it creating your community. Hmm? You're together, spend time together, even if it's only 5 minutes, quality time where you're together. You don't have to be like your dad was or your mom was. If it was a good example, fine, but you still have to modify, right? To make it fit in your relationship. Because your husband or your wife is not your mom or your dad or your
Mm.
partner, whoever it is, right? So we have to work together, spend time together, you know, turn off all the distractions, the phone, the TV, and everything else. The kids, put them to bed. I don't know, get a babysitter, do something. You have to start creating those time together and being present for each other. Not I'm sitting here trying to talk to you while you're watching TV or reading something or playing a video game. We want to share our experience so we know what's going on with each other, keeping it simple at the same time, right? Because you don't want to do things that not sustainable. Maybe it's just having a coffee together at a
Mhm.
certain time, whatever it may be. And most important is making it a priority,
Making it important and making it consistent.
consistent.
Because I know many a couple that have their date nights.
Yeah,
They have those date nights, and just suggestion, if you're working from home, like still a number of people are, and your partner's working from home, having lunch together, just taking that
exactly.
break and just or checking in with each other. How's your day going, etc., etc. Just those, it's the little things that either make or break the vine.
Right, right. And you say, like, sharing a meal, right? Having lunch together. Sit there, have lunch together. You can do a mini date. You don't have to go on, because everybody's life situation is different. And
Sure.
sometimes it's that little mini date that will help. Maybe you play board games or whatever, do little things.
Yeah,
Make it your
it's
own.
it's funny. I was speaking with an associate in the U.S. earlier on this week, and they're getting together for Thanksgiving dinner, the families, and she bought a bingo game, and she also went to the Dollar Mart and bought prizes. And I'm saying, how wonderful is that? Because especially the young people, those little memories like that will can provide good foundation for the relationships they're going to have going forward as they go in their journey.
Yes.
you know
Mhm.
those little games, those little things. you know I once in a while I'll ask a man, I say, when was the last time you played with your partner?
Mhm.
And they go, what are you talking about, play? No, I don't got time to play. I go, really?
Right.
So what are those little play things you can do with your partner? Whether
Yeah,
it's just watching TV together, binging on some stuff to get and binging, going out. It doesn't have to be a meal. You can do it right home, or you order in and just do it
exactly.
in there. Those little things make a
Yeah.
difference. Well, let's
Yeah.
see, anything else you want to add today before we let you go and have your productive day as you usually do?
Well, my productive day is off to the dentist, which I'm not looking forward to.
You're not. No, you know what? I have to say I'm blessed. I've had the same dentist for 30 years, and he's located in downtown Toronto. Now, people who know me, I'm not a person who likes to drive to downtown Toronto because it's traffic like crazy. But when I'm in his care, I feel it's like my dad is taking care of me. We've created our own healthy relationship tradition. We talk about what's going on in each other's lives,
Yeah.
etc. So that healthy relationship um, is so paramount, and I
Yeah.
strive my best to have that.
And you feel safe with him, right?
Getting back to what we're saying, he's committed to my health. We provide community for each other, safety. I'm confident with him, etc. Now, I'm not 100% perfect, family. Sorry, I'm not the guru. The guru's in the purple and black on the other
No,
side of
no,
me.
no,
Not.
no, no, no. No. I always say, I learned so much. I learn from my clients all the time.
Well, isn't that amazing? That's when we do the hard work that we do, how much we learn from our clients. They think that we're helping them. A lot of times they're helping us.
Right. And you had that book there the word humility. And we have to, when we help, right? Humility is the key word. Because if we don't approach whatever we do, leadership, helping someone with humility, um, we're just going to be that, you know, talking head.
Yeah. Well, you know what? You're actually inspiring me. I'm going to reach out to see if I can have her on the show. And yeah, it was such a great sharing. Just, that line saying no one has any more dignity than anybody else.
Nope.
Whew,
Yeah.
that was a beautiful, beautiful statement. So I'm going to put Ms. Gis on the reach out list to have on either our morning show or one of my other platforms. So
Good.
thank you as always for taking the time to share with us. I'm looking forward to having you back on next month. And speaking that new platform will be ready to go so we can navigate it and share it with the world
Yes.
to make to make the world a better place. Any final messages you have for us today?
Well, one thing I'd say is in your relationship and your traditions, you have to build that culture. And I'm using these words, community culture. You have to build that culture of appreciation. Look for the positives in your partner. It's easy to criticize, it's easy to criticize, but look for those positives. Even if you have to, kind of peek to find it, look for it.
I love the body language here. Well done. Well done. That
Give
was a screenshot right there. Look for the positives. See Leslie with her glasses. I love
yeah, compliments, because it's not all bad. And the moment we start to be positive with each other and be appreciative of each other, it changes the atmosphere, and a little bit at a time. And before you know it, every relationship has its challenges, right?
absolutely.
But it will be a healthier, more pleasant place to be, your relationship.
Great stuff to close off on. Thank you, Leslie. Looking forward to seeing you next month. Again, people on the screen, and I've shown it a few times. Her website is there. Her email address is there. She would love to hear from you. As always, Leslie, remember to give yourself grace and don't just manage your time, manage your energy.
Thank you.
No problem. And I think before we leave, there we go. And David's saying, thank you again for such a great conversation.
You're welcome.
Excellent. Thank you so much. Take care.
Okay, bye-bye.
All right, family. Thank you. And just for a few more seconds there is Leslie's website address and email for everyone there. And again, thanks for watching and checking out the Morning Vibe on a Friday. Got some more comments coming in here. Yes, wonderful. And Earl Anderson, wonderful small steps. David saying, fake it till you make it. No, fake it till you. That seems to be the mic drop line for today. Fake it till you break it. That was huge. That, like, the exact quote from Leslie, fake it till you fall apart. Wow. That was, so I'm glad that line resonated. Dr. Tachi is happy for the conversation. Appreciate it, family. Thank you so much. Before we start shutting down, what's everyone up to this weekend? If you're watching this live or wherever you're watching this, maybe on the replay, it could be a weekend. What are you up to this weekend? Would love to know. So a few quick things. Let me just put it here. You can watch replays of the Morning Vibe at the Dr. Vibe Show on YouTube, Facebook, and I've had also LinkedIn, the Afro-Caribbean Business Network on Facebook and YouTube, and Ryan Oneil platform on YouTube. So what's everyone up to this weekend? Myself, fairly quiet tomorrow. I may surprise one of the people I've mentored over the last few years. She's actually opened up, I think, Canada's only fitness workplace. So she has a fitness place where fitness trainers can come and do their training of their clients there, but they can also do their business work there. So I'm speaking that I'll have a chance to visit her. I haven't seen her in a few years, and I really am proud of her and would like to say congratulations. Dr. Tachi, I need a massage. I'll probably do that. Yeah, massages are great. Actually, I want to go see my physiotherapist. Hopefully I'll have a chance to go see him, if not today, a few times before the end of the year. Actually, a little side story. A number of years ago, I was diagnosed with arthritis in my big right toe. And the effects of that was that I could only stand up for about 10 or 15 minutes. It was so much pain. And then it stopped happening. Then it went into my back. My back started to hurt. So I went to a physiotherapist, and he said, oh, it's your back. Your back has no curve, because your spine is supposed to have a natural curve. And mine didn't. And my physiotherapist worked on it for a number of weeks. And now I can stand up pain-free for a long period of time. My measure of how good my back is if I can rake leaves in the fall, and if I can mow the lawn in the summer, and if I can shovel snow in the winter. And all those things have been good for the last few years. So I've been very blessed with that. If you want to touch base with me, website, the DR, VIBESHOW, email address, dr@the drvibeshow.com, YouTube and Facebook, The Dr. Vibe. So Twitter at DRVIBESHOW, Instagram at the DRVIBESHOW. We have a few more comments coming in before we leave here. David saying, fake it till you make it. No, fake it until eventually you'll fall apart. Hashtag mic drop. Agreed. And Charles Matthews, who is another person, please follow him on whatever platform, on LinkedIn, whatever platform Charles on, please follow him. I had a great conversation with him yesterday, and I'm going to send a message to you today, Charles, to see when we can continue on. Yeah, after restaurant, I need a couch. So do I. For people who did not know, I went to 4 Black restaurants last week during buyblacks.com restaurant week. Yeah, I need a couch. So maybe that's what I'm going to do to rest. Wes, David Rusty, what was the name of the workout workplace? It's called Placemate. It's in downtown Toronto. So I think, and so what I'm going to do, you know what? That's someone I need to have on this platform. I got to see if I can have her on this platform. Celia Lopez, number of years ago, had this dream and vision, and she opened it up, and I'm so proud of her. Christopher Lawrence saying, great show. And then any plans for the weekend? No, for myself, as I said, I'm pretty quiet on Sunday. I have, tomorrow night at 9 p.m., we have State of Things with Isha, Jill, and Lala. So they'll be talking about things from a Black American women perspective, whether it's political or non-political. Sunday afternoon at 5 o'clock or earlier, I'll be hosting Black Canada Talking. And right now we have a scheduled conversation about the UN decade for people of African descent, which is ending in the next year or two. What's the future for Black Canadians? So this is why I'm sharing with everybody. Please follow me, especially on YouTube. But if you're doing it on Facebook, just follow the Dr. Vibe Show. And what you'll do is you'll get notified for upcoming conversations, but especially on YouTube, because I'm around 35 to 36 subscribers away from hitting 1,000 followers or subscribers on YouTube. So follow me on YouTube, subscribe, follow, like, etc., especially on YouTube, because especially, following the show is good. And then when you get asked for notifications, you get notified of upcoming conversations. So one last thing I'll just add here. Would you like to promote your business or service on the show? Please contact me at dr.vibe at the drvibeshow.com, and would love to promote your business and service on the show. What do we got here? You have my support. Thank you, Mr. Lawrence. It's appreciated, not taken for granted. So as we close out today, I will also say Ryan will be back on Monday. And right now it's probably would be an open mic. But I also want to encourage too, if any of you would like to come on the show and chop it up with us, we'd love to do that. We'd love to have you on and just have open conversations and chop it up on whatever you'd like to talk about. So again, it's the same email address as here, dr.vibe at the drvibeshow.com. So as we close off, we do this. Live your life as a dream. If you can dream it, you can make it. Sometimes you have to get small to get stronger. Block assumptions, then aim bigger, aim better, aim higher, aim wider. Love, faith, and respect. Remember to give yourself grace, and don't just manage your time, manage your energy. Let's see these last 2 comments. Have a great weekend, Dr. Vibe and Ryan Knight. I will pass on that message to Ryan Knight, Christopher, and David. Thank you for your support today. And I see you're watching on YouTube. Would love you to follow me, or anyone on YouTube. Follow, note, and subscribe. All right? So God bless. Peace be well. Keep the faith. Walk good. And we are going to see you back everything proper on Monday. Take care, everybody. Be well and keep the faith.